One of the great resources Xcode offers to developers to test out their applications is the iOS simulators. Now what these basically are is a simulation of real world devices. We have simulators for our iPhone and our iPad, and we can use these to test out our applications before we build and run to a general and regular real world device. It's a great way to just quickly see how your application runs and just to test out the small features before you're ready to properly test it on a device. Now, in the previous lecture, we set up and configured our interface here and added in a few objects. So what we're going to do is build and run what we've got in our interface here onto an iOS simulator and test out some of the objects. Now the iOS simulators are located at the top left of Xcode themselves. So you can see here I have my project name, and then selected is iPhone 6 Plus. From within here we can select a different amount of simulators. We've got the iPad, the iPad Air, Retinas, iPhone 4, 5, 5S, 6 and 6 Plus. We're going to go with the 6 Plus, and what we're going to do is then use these two buttons. So the square one stops the simulator from running anything that it's currently running. The play button builds and runs the application that we've created and tested it and loads up the simulator that we've selected. So if anything's running at the moment, we're going to simply stop it. And then we're going to go to build and run to kind of create our project and kind of display it within our iOS simulator. Now we selected our iPhone 6 Plus simulator, so that's the one that will simply load up. So as you see there, it's loaded up this new view over our project, and this is the iOS simulator. It will come in different sizes depending on what simulator you select. And it's loaded up our project. You can see what we created in our interface builder, and we can now interact with it and kind of use it to how we would use it on a real device. So we've got this slider here which we can interact with, and we can move it up and down. Now we don't have anything to be triggered when we select these objects, but you can clearly see how you can interact with the simulator and all the objects from within it. We have this button we can press, again, but nothing's going to happen, and we have this text field where we can enter text in. So we simply write in hello. So you can interact with your application to how you would do on a real device. And again, it comes in all different kind of sizes depending on what simulator you run on. Now, there's a lot of additional features that come with the simulator. If you have a MacBook or a smaller screen Mac in general, some of the simulators may be a little bit big for you to display on the screen. And you need to make sure when you're in the iOS simulator, if you go to Window, and go to scale, you can change the scale of what the simulator is showing. Now this doesn't change the actual simulator itself, it just changes how big it gets displayed on the screen. So for those who have like MacBook Pros where the iPhone 6 simulator is pretty big, as you can see if I go to its full scale, it is quite big, and you just want to fit it on the screen so you can clearly see it, you can change the scale. Now there's a lot of things the simulator can't do in terms of what a real device can do. You won't be able to test out if you're trying to make phone calls or send text messages or even emails, as the simulator can't handle those kind of functions. It also can't handle functions such as if you've got the accelerometer and you're using something to react when you tilt your device. Again, the simulator can't do that. It's only for basic stuff that the simulator can be handy for. So if you want to test out your actual device in the real world, then you would have to build and run it to your own device, which we talk about in the next lecture. Now there's a lot of hardware stuff that we can configure and kind of test out on our simulator. So within it, if we go up to our hardware section, we can also select the different devices from within it to change the simulator while it's running on. We can also toggle to rotate our device in different orientations to see how it reacts. I can rotate it back. We can also shake gesture, which simulates if the device was shaken. Now there's a lecture further on in the course where we can trigger actions if our device is shaken. We can also go to the home screen, we can lock it, and we can even reboot the simulator, all to see how our application reacts under the general uses of the user on their application. We can also configure it to Touch ID enrolled, so we can simulate our finger touching the kind of fingerprint scanner, and if it matches or doesn't match, and again you can see how your application reacts if you've got any of that configured within the app. We all basically can see how our application runs under pressure, such as simulating a memory warning. We can also toggle an in-call status bar, and we can also choose to bring up the keyboard. If I select to toggle it, you can see it appears, and we can add in more text. But you can see how your application works under pressure with stuff like the memory warnings, the in-call status, and even just getting the keyboard to kind of overlay the application. All this stuff we can test out on the simulator to see how our application reacts to it, and again just see if things are generally working within the app. Now again, you're not going to get it perfect. The only way to actually simulate it working on a real device is actually building and running to a real device. Now, providing you have your license purchased from your developer account, then this enables you to link a Apple device to Xcode to test out your applications on your device, which we'll be talking about in the next lecture.